Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the ABA Coffee in the Park. My name is Cam Milliken, and I am here with my co-host extraordinaire, Jennifer Herrick, the Executive Director of the Atchison Business Association. Hi, Jennifer.
Well, hello, Cam, and happy 2025.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. Did you have a good Christmas?
I had a great Christmas. Did
right
you?
on. Oh, it was a good Christmas, that's for sure. Now, you were in Saskatchewan.
I was.
That's right.
Yes.
Up to
my knees in snow.
That's right. That's awesome. That's great. And so before we go any further, I'm just going to give a shout out to your mom. Your mom sent me some butter horns for Christmas. Okay, Jennifer's mom, if you're listening, those were amazing. I ate them all pretty much in one day, in one setting, and they were incredible. So thank you for the butter horns. They were fantastic. Anyway, we're into 2025.
We are.
This is unbelievable.
I know.
Incredible. And we got some people we want to thank for us being able to do this.
Well, I'm excited for this because we are adding another name to our Gold Corporate Sponsor Thank You list for 2025.
Right on.
So we would like to thank our Gold Corporate Sponsors, which include the MyShack Group of Companies, Genix, Parkland County, and now Bow Valley Credit Union here in Atchison.
That's awesome. Thank you, Bow Valley, for coming on board. You guys all make this happen for us, and we really, really appreciate it. And we need to mention that we are coming to you from the Wall Coffee Roasters in the heart of beautiful downtown Atchison. That's right. So if you hear some noises in the background, maybe some coffee machines whirring, some kids screaming, although I don't see any kids in here today.
Not today.
So I think we're all right with that. It's because we are doing this live in the coffee shop, and hopefully many of you made it out to the coffee shop during Christmas. Were they open during Christmas?
I think Michael closed.
Michael closed during Christmas. Okay, well, New Year, come to
out.
a coffee shop. Yeah, check it out. You'll want to check out the Wall Coffee Roasters
right.
for sure. Anyway, I'm very excited about our guest today. Jennifer, tell us.
Well, Cam, I am excited about our guest today, too. Today's guest is Mr. Chad Zender, the president of Zender Ford in Spruce Grove.
Zender Ford.
Welcome, Chad.
Welcome, Chad.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Me here.
So anybody who's driven through Spruce Grove down 16A,
Yep.
if you're going west, on the left-hand side is Zender Ford.
Yeah, 40 years actually. In the
40
same,
years?
40
same
years.
location.
That's
and
fantastic.
40 years as ownership of the Zender family.
Wow, that's incredible. 40 years. I can't even imagine Spruce Grove 40 years ago. The change is, you've probably seen amazing change.
Yeah, it's about 4 times larger, maybe
Yeah.
5 times larger than it was, including Stony Plain and Parkland County.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it before we came on air. I mean, it used to be just one stop sign or one street lights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now it's like 40,000 people.
Yeah, 40,000 people, and it's a bustling area.
Incredible.
Great
Wow.
place to have a business.
Yeah,
For sure.
awesome.
Many years.
Okay, so Chad, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up.
Well, actually, I did grow up locally. I grew up just south of Spruce Grove. I call myself a Parkland County boy.
Right on.
Just by the Devon Botanic Gardens.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
My parents purchased an acreage out there in 1971, and we grew up there. And so my life was all around Spruce Grove, the Devon area. Kind of was a little bit of my home as well. Spruce, Stony, and basically Parkland County. I know every back road in Parkland County, south of Spruce Grove, and
Right
down
on.
north of Spruce Grove. I live on an acreage as well.
Cool.
So,
Where'd you go to high school?
I went out in Devon, actually.
Oh, okay.
Devon, okay.
I grew up in Germania School. My grade was the first grade to go from K to 9 with that
wow.
school.
Yeah.
And just back in that day, most people, because of the busing, went to Devon.
Right.
In the high school, just because that's where the buses went.
Right.
Some came into Spruce Grove, but it was a little harder.
Right.
And Devon, that's another community that's grown leaps and bounds.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it boomed in the 50s and 60s, and it kind of stayed the same size. And and it's so oil and gas is every one of my friends' dads worked in the oil and gas industry
Right.
or something. Trucking or something related to something related to that. So that's the
good old days. The good old days of
The
oil
good
and
old
gas
days.
in Alberta. The good old days. So what did your dad do?
Yeah, what did your parents do?
Well, my dad, he purchased the dealership in 1984. Before that, he was the general manager of Western Mack Truck.
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
still it's called Nord Trucks
Yep.
nowadays.
Yeah.
At the time there was 8 branch offices in Alberta of Western Mack Trucks in the late 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
He was also involved in he did that for a period of time. That's what got him into the business, because he was headhunted by Ford, because
Okay.
Zender Ford had a heavy truck component to it,
Right.
and they weren't selling very well. It was in 1984, a couple of years after their early 80s crash.
Yes,
Alberta
yeah.
was not doing very good.
Right.
Nobody wanted to buy a Ford dealership in Spruce Grove that had heavy trucks for 2 years in stock.
Yeah.
So he got from that, but he was also involved in. He was a business graduate, business guy through and through.
Right.
He was involved in a lot of things. He was involved in some condo developments and selling condos in the 70s.
Yeah.
At one point, crashed and lost everything.
Yeah.
He has a famous story about that, and then rejigged and kind of did some other stuff, and somehow found this this Ford dealership in Spruce Grove.
Awesome.
And at a time, we going through our 40th anniversary, we've been looking back, so I found the original purchase agreements of it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
The interest rate on the loan was 14.9%.
Can you?
Yeah.
Those were the days.
And,
Hey,
and that was
my
pretty-
goodness.
That's pretty normal.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
That was
well,
normal.
and we know
Very
why a lot
normal.
of businesses went under, because
Yeah.
they just couldn't. They couldn't.
Nobody could do it, right?
No.
So,
Yeah.
And so he had to really hustle
Good
hard
for him.
and make it work, and
Sure.
try to make it work.
Yeah.
And he, Zender Ford really grew with Spruce Grove.
Right. So Chad graduated from high school. Then what? Went right into the family business, or what happened?
No, I went to university. Actually, I chose to go away.
Okay, where'd you go?
I went to University of Victoria.
Come on,
And
UVic. That's pretty
UVic.
awesome. Yeah.
And had my BCom from UVic. More, how I ended up there and why, I don't know. I just call
Warmer
it being,
weather.
Being 18 years old and
Yeah,
wanting,
yeah.
wanting
You just
to
want to go away.
On the
somewhere else.
island.
go away.
Yeah.
I tried, UVA. I could have gone and, maybe I have some daughters. I hope they go to UVA.
Yeah.
So went there for, I got my university degree and actually moved to Vancouver.
Okay.
And I was an investment advisor for a little bit, trying to get people's money to invest
Sure.
and make
Yeah.
a percentage off that and sell
Yeah.
life insurance and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And so I was growing that. And really for me, it came when I was in my teens, and even when I was in university, every summer I would come back and work in the business.
Right.
We had a couple businesses, so I'd work in multiple different parts of the business. Kind of knew everything about business, always wanted to be in business. And one day I remember I was trying to get some money from a car dealer friend of my dad's, because, when you want to invest money, you go after the people
Yeah, that have
That's
money.
right.
that have money or will take your call.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, because you're
Yeah.
just a young guy. What are you, right? So, and I remember sitting there thinking, trying to talk to him and going over it. And I just think to myself, I want to be on that side of the table.
Yeah.
This is fun to be an investment advisor, but that sounds way better.
Yeah.
Way more fun, and just they say when you have the gasoline in your veins, you just kind of
Yeah.
it's hard to get away from it.
So before we go any further, tell us about the Zender family. So there's mom and dad, there's
Yep.
Chad, there's
I have my sister, who's our partner.
Right.
My partner in the whole thing.
Okay.
Cody. And she's the CFO of the company.
Right.
And then I have my late brother,
Right.
who passed away last year.
Yes.
Unfortunately, of cancer.
Right.
And he was the partner of ours.
Okay.
We own a company called Zender Auto Group, which actually owns a couple dealerships.
Oh, okay.
And a couple
I didn't know that.
businesses, related to the car industry. We're investors in other things.
Right.
And then, so really right now it's me and my sister are the two principals.
Okay.
We run the whole Zender Auto Group. I'm the dealer principal of both companies, both of our car dealerships.
Yeah.
In name, in Zender Ford, I'm the dealer principal and president, so I'm more actively involved in the day-to-day operations
Right.
there.
Right.
We have a partner at another store out in Hinton called Big Rock Dodge.
Okay.
That's, and so I'm a managing
Yeah.
partner who runs that, and does a very good job managing that
Sure.
out there. And then and my sister's our CFO. My dad and my mom are still around. They travel down south as most snowbirds do.
The life.
The snowbird life.
They
You gotta love it.
Yeah,
Well deserved though.
Yeah,
well deserved.
He's functionally retired from the
Yeah,
business
for sure.
and has been for
Right.
operational.
But I bet
wise
he's
for
a phone
number-
call away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We talk a lot of times.
Yeah.
We have he's an old school guy. He likes to phone.
Yeah.
And just every Monday or Friday.
Check
or,
up on you, yeah.
Still this day at the end of the month, phones and says, "How's the month going?"
Yeah,
and
good.
just understands.
his blood.
We have that.
Yeah.
We have, this and that. The cars and this, and
Yeah.
margins are this, and
Yeah, good.
And so it's so that's the family dynamic.
Okay.
We. Back when I decided to come into the business, we had a big family meeting, probably around 2002,
Right.
when we were younger. And at that point, my brother was in the business, and my sister was in the business. She had just come in as our controller. We had a controller retire, and she had just graduated from U of A
Sure.
BCom, and
Yeah.
she's kind of the accounting brain of the family. So it was kind of really fit well.
Yeah.
And when I decided to come back in, I had a conversation with my dad, and said let's like to do this and that. And before this, he never pressured any of us to come
Right.
into the business.
Was it hard to leave Vancouver?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
I know.
It was
I lived
very
there for
hard.
30 years. So
Yeah, very hard, and I had
yeah.
friends out there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
very, very, definitely difficult. I always say that the weekend I left Vancouver was 30 degrees, which if you're from Vancouver, it's never
Yeah.
30 degrees
No,
in
that's
Vancouver.
right.
And I'm driving home to Edmonton.
That's
am
a
I
heat
doing?
wave in the summer.
Yeah,
That is.
and
so,
I came back to Edmonton, and actually it was April 30th when I left Vancouver.
Right.
And I remember there was a May, first week snowstorm
Yeah.
in
Yes,
Edmonton. And
yeah.
I remember driving around. It wasn't in Atchison, but it was in an industrial commercial park in Spruce Grove. Driving around, going around and giving cards out, and thinking to myself,
Sure.
like, what am I doing?
What are you doing?
What did I
So,
do?
so it was a big deal for you.
It was
to
a
leave.
big deal.
For you, it was a big deal.
It was a big
Yeah.
functional,
Yeah.
huge, but when I did it, came home, we had a big family meeting, and okay, this is how it's going to go, and how we're going to work it out, and we're just,
Right.
come into the business and make sure you like it, and that we succeed at it.
Yeah.
And if you do, then we'll start the process of, kids will buy you out,
Right.
Dad, and how's that going to look, and
That succession, right?
Yeah.
we had a succession, and we were part of the we joined up with the Alberta Family Business Institute and U of A.
Okay. Yeah.
And really kind of embraced that culture of just if you're going to have a family transition, how should it go?
Right.
Because a lot of families don't do it correctly, and we just felt like let's just get everything on the table and just start working towards it, and kind of here we are.
Smart. That's a whole other podcast. But we talk a lot
We
about
sure do.
succession in business. And,
Yes.
And Chad, what you're saying, I mean, people need to hear sort of your processes in doing this, because some people leave it way too late, and
Yes.
then there's real problems. But that's all. Like I say, that's a whole other podcast. So, were you married in Vancouver? Were you
My wife, we weren't married then.
Right.
But she was living with me
In Vancouver?
Yeah, she's been living.
So
with
she's
me
from
in
the coast?
No, she's actually an American.
Oh,
I met her on
okay.
a university exchange.
Yeah.
Went to a study abroad.
Yeah.
And we met, and
she
we're
was
still-
okay with you coming to Edmonton?
She
or,
was, she liked Vancouver.
I'm sure
she's
she
an
did.
American from a small town Midwest, and here
Yeah.
she's living in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And we lived in a crappy apartment, but it was 2 blocks from the beach. Right?
yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
I hear ya.
it was a pretty good situation, and but she, I convinced her to come here
Yeah.
and come to Edmonton and follow me, and let's set up a family, and let's see what we can do here.
So
And
she
we
survived the first winter. That
she
was the
survived
first sign right
winter.
there.
Yeah,
that she was
she
going to
made
make
it.
it. Yeah.
Definitely. It was, it's touch and go sometimes,
Yeah.
but we managed to do it.
Good.
Yeah, and we're still together, and
Well, that's the
That's the most important
She
thing
still
right
puts
there.
up
Still
with me.
together.
Do you have to take her back to Vancouver often? Just
Sometimes we go back and visit,
yeah.
and she still definitely puts up with me.
Yeah, no, I know. Like I say, I lived there 30 years, and it's a great place.
Yeah.
I love Edmonton. Grew up here, but Vancouver was nice.
Yeah,
It was real
different
nice.
place.
Yeah.
So, Chad, how have you seen the business change over the years since you first got into
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very similar. I would say that, because we still sell cars, and we still service cars, and really the evolution of the vehicle is much more advanced. I mean, they're just so much nicer than they were, 20 years ago. Very, my F-150 that I drive today is just so nice. And I mean, it can do everything. They were so nice back in 2002.
Cars can do everything now. Like, I'm surprised they can't make toast, but I'm sure that's coming. Like, it's
That's
incredible,
next.
what they can do.
Yeah, definitely.
So that for you guys, that for a dealership must be an incredible sort of osmosis of change. Ongoing.
It's always, and I think we take it for granted.
Yeah.
I mean, the new 2025 model comes out with a brand new engine that we've never seen before, and we just have to get good at understanding it, because it's going to break.
Yes, of course.
One thing I've always known, I mean, a new vehicle comes out, I mean, it's going to be an issue right away with not all of them, but there's always something. Right?
Yeah.
There's always something.
Because there's more to go wrong.
Yeah, and it comes out, and our technicians, they've never seen this engine before in their life.
Right.
But they have
How
to
do you
fix
keep
it.
up?
They just have to. The technicians, I think, are the smartest people in our business because they are. They can pull apart an engine and put it back together and just figure it out.
Yeah.
They download a 50-page manual on how to fix it and they figure it out. And that's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's the change that they just learn by.
Sure.
So that by the time a vehicle kind of is within its 5th year of production and it's out on the street, we know exactly what's going on with that vehicle and can fix it. And it's just, that's how we it's constant.
Was it easier to sell cars 40 years ago than today, or is it easier today than 40 years ago, or is it about the same?
I think it's about the same. I think what's different now is just the shopping habits of people. It's a little bit more digital.
Right.
The old way was you would physically go to 3 to 4 locations to buy a vehicle.
Yeah.
Physically would walk into a store and start that process, and then you go to another store, and you go to the most people went to about 3 to 4. Nowadays what they do is they just contact 3 to 4 entities or dealerships via the digital mechanisms.
Right.
Sure.
And so it's still the same relationship building with people, but it's just in a different way.
Right. Yeah.
But,
it certainly, I'm sure, certainly has changed. Media and technology and all of those things. The way people shop is very different than it was. Mm-hmm. So let's go back. So you had the family meeting. You decided you're all going to come into the business. The succession plan is going to happen.
Yeah.
How long until your dad decided he needed to be down south more?
Probably at the time he was running another store, a heavy truck dealership in Edmonton called Western Sterling Trucks.
Okay.
He had a couple other things going on. So really, as soon as we came into the business, me and my brother, within about a year, ended up as being the sales managers. Yeah. And in the car business, the sales managers are the guys on the floor working the hours, and they run the whole thing. I mean, it's and so really quickly he was involved, but he wasn't there a lot in the day.
Sure.
He kind of one of the things about my dad is he's good at of when it's time to move on. We talk about we were having the conversation with our prime minister right now.
Right. Yeah.
My dad's kind of the opposite. When he sees the writing on the wall and says,
"Good
okay,
for your dad." I think can we vote for your dad for prime minister? Because ours didn't. Yeah. Anyway, that's another whole podcast right there. But yeah.
And at the time, I'm the young, late 20s kind of piss and vinegar sales manager. I know everything. Yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll take care. Don't worry, Dad, I got it. Now looking back on it, he would have to bite his tongue a lot. Yeah. And just say, you know what? Yeah, okay, you make your mistakes, and I'll just stand here and watch it.
But good for your dad.
And I think that's hard to do.
Yeah, I was going to say
that
that must have been difficult.
Yeah, and I think about myself. I have kids too that maybe I'll be in this thing. I mean, I'm like thinking to myself, how am I going to stand there and watch this happen? But I'm going to have to. And see how it all plays out. So it was about probably took about 5 to 7 years, kind of around actually the financial crisis in 08, 09. That was a big transition in our industry. And that's when we kind of Ford didn't go bankrupt, actually went the other way. And that's when we said, okay, now we're starting to let's really move this forward. Right. Kind of the early 2010s kind of took over full operations, official dealer principal. Yeah.
Now
in our business, you have to be approved by the manufacturer to be a dealer principal.
Stay as a dealer.
Yeah, you could. Right. There's a lot of times that families trying to succeed, and the manufacturer says no. Sure. So then it's a problem.
So I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to bring this up because sometimes car salesmen, they have a bad rep sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Like I think I read a survey one time that said that like out of professions, car salesmen are like way down here. But
Yeah.
I think that's changed.
Yeah.
Is that true? Like
I think so.
you know, I think the whole way of
yes.
selling has changed.
I think it's really what's changed about the car sales is that it's all been put onto social media.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
become the car
And
sales.
don't you have a guy? You hire a guy to do
We
your
have a
social
marketing
media.
manager,
Marketing guy.
and we also have individual salespeople that create their own
Right.
personas
Yeah.
on social media just in order to market themselves.
Right.
The micro marketing, and then there's thousands of examples of salespeople that have become stars.
Yeah.
Across North America.
Yeah.
And really, what it's done is it's shown that there's a lot of personalities.
Right.
In the car business, and it's brought it out more to the forefront.
Sure.
So there's a little bit
more professional.
More professional.
Yeah, I think salesmen have moved up the
Yeah.
ladder a little bit.
There's
But
a lot more.
I would agree with you. I think,
Yeah.
in the past, you had to get a new car, and you're thinking, oh,
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I
slick
don't wanna go
back
through this
hair guys.
process.
Yeah.
Like, no, but it's not like that anymore.
Well, it goes back to-
lawyers are still way down here. Just
Yeah.
that's what I read. Lawyers are still way down
Yeah,
here.
and
But
lawyers
car
are
sales-
essential.
Car,
That's
they're
right.
lawyers.
But so are car salespeople. They're
Yeah.
essential too.
Most people own 5 cars in their lifetime
Yeah.
or more, so they're going to be interacting with somebody
Yeah.
at some
Absolutely.
points, and that's what they're trying to find is somebody they can interact with.
Yeah.
that they
trust.
That they trust.
Sure.
And it's a huge thing. I mean, there's a lot more transparency in cars now with pricing and
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
But cars and the pricing of it and the financing of it is incredibly complicated. I feel that most you have to do a lot of research to really understand
Right.
what's the difference between an F-150 302A package and a 301A package, and why is it 60 months at 2.9%,
Right.
but it's 72 months at 3.2%, all that stuff. And so you need somebody or an entity or a business that you kind of trust,
Yeah.
that if they say the price is this and this is what the payment is, well, is that actually what
Is that what it is?
Is that what it
and
is?
so customer service is huge.
it's very
Huge.
Yeah,
So
very
I'm going to say I creeped Zender Ford last night online.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to see, and you guys have a remarkable rating.
We put a
You
lot
really
of
do.
time into it.
Like I looked at a number of sites,
Yeah.
and I just don't look for the stars. I want to read the comments, and you guys seem to do, from everything I read online, an exceptional job of customer service.
Yeah, and we really tried to, and like it's interesting. I have a manager meeting tomorrow, and the first thing we always talk about our manager meeting is our Google rating, because it's a
Yeah.
huge accountability factor to our employees. About
Sure.
hey, Mrs. Johnson just had an oil change and she wrote a review.
Yeah. And it's where people
so
look
we're-
now. They
totally.
go and
Absolutely.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have we take Google. If you have a 4.5, 4.6 score, it's where you need to be.
You guys were higher than
and
that. You were, like, way up
We
there.
sometimes tickle 4.7.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but it's very difficult on
Yeah.
Google. But I always say if a Google score is not important until you have a 3.9.
Yeah.
And then it's really important.
And again, it's not even the stars sometimes it's the comments you have to read.
Yeah, I
what
agree.
people are saying.
You have to be engaged
And
with people.
hopefully nobody's jigging the comments, but reading the comments about Zender Ford last night,
Yeah.
people were, and for people to be happy about buying a car these days,
Yeah.
that's a big task
That is.
to,
Oh, yeah.
to make them happy.
And what's interesting about the reviews is the level of detail that people put into reviews now,
Yeah.
especially positive reviews.
Yeah.
People put in a lot of detail in the negative reviews
Sure.
sometimes when things go off. But the positive reviews, I'm always amazed, and I think that's changed. Like 10 years ago, it'd be like just a click.
Yeah.
Now it's a click and a
a
whole
comment.
paragraph, and
Yeah.
then you go and look at
That's
the person,
right.
and they have a whole
Sure.
their curated Google
Yeah.
profile
Yeah.
on their thing. So it's
and
it's
how you
very
know it's
important.
legit is if there's good comments and there's some critical comments.
Yeah.
There weren't
Yeah.
a lot of critical comments on Zender
Yeah.
Ford. They were the basics. I think that anybody would expect, but you just knew, okay, this is legit.
Yeah.
It's
And
good.
And that's, especially in our service, we deal with about 2,000 people a month in our service departments.
Wow.
And that's all people with their vehicles broken.
Right.
And so it's like going to the dentist.
Yes.
They're not happy.
Nobody's
Exactly.
ever happy when
Yeah.
you
When
got to
your
go
car
to the
breaks
service
down,
department. It's
that's-
true.
it's
It
like-
is not.
That's worse than going to the dentist when your
Yeah.
car breaks
It
down.
is.
So the
It's
fact
like,
that we
yeah.
can handle that and handle it with ease.
Yeah.
We have a thing at Zender Ford where we try to be quietly busy. we could have 50 vehicles in our shop and we could have lots going on, but we're quietly busy.
Right.
And that's kind of the goal we try to get to every month, where it's not chaos.
Right.
Sometimes it is when it's minus 40 outside and,
Sure.
and there's
Everything's
2 feet of
breaking.
snow.
Yeah.
It gets really busy sometimes.
But everything's in chaos when it's minus 40 and 2 feet of snow.
So we try to just make the whole process of dealing with customers just as simple and as convenient as possible. That's the goal.
Right.
One phone call away, and then we take it from there is kind of always the goal.
Right.
And but that requires you have to have a lot of expertise.
Sure.
And people that are good at their job to handle it, because it's
Right.
an oil change is not a complex thing, but if you don't have the right setup for it, it's a very complex
Yeah,
thing.
it becomes a complex thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. So business is that side. Now, what does Chad Zender do for fun in his life? Or do you have time?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
You have how many
time.
children? You
I have 2 children.
Two children.
2 beautiful teenage girls. And so
Girls.
they're
Yeah.
I'm a girl dad.
They're
And
me too.
They keep me on my toes for sure. And
now, have they graduated high school?
they're in grade 11 at Memorial
Okay,
Opposites,
yeah.
and grade in junior high.
Okay.
Yeah, in grade
Yeah.
7 in junior high at Mirror Lake School.
Okay.
And great kids, and they keep me busy. They're very involved in a lot of things. One of my daughters plays ringette.
Okay.
With the Spruce Grove Ringette Association, which is for those that don't know ringette, it's like hockey except
It is.
better.
Yeah, it's
Except
busy.
faster.
It's busy.
Yeah.
And the Spruce Grove Ringette Association has been around for 40 years as well.
Okay.
So I'm been fortunate to be a coach for my daughter for 5. This is my 6th year now. I'm assistant coach actually this year, which is kind of different, but it's kind of fun too.
Sure, sure.
Less work.
Yeah.
But I like that, and I'm kind of a taxi dad, I guess, sometimes.
Sure.
Taking them to everything else,
Yeah.
and then when I have the time, I'm an avid, try to be a golfer,
Right.
and I play hockey still. Beer league hockey up in Calahoo Arena. This is kind of where I end up, and
Sure.
some nights, and so try to keep busy with athleticism. I find that's my thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Chad, one of the things that I really admire about you and everyone in your dealership is you really believe in giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. I know,
Yeah.
You're a big supporter of the Parkland Food Bank and other
Yeah.
charities.
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about why that's important.
I think it's always been important. I don't know when it started with my brother and sister. We kind of made it a part of our thing. We try to we basically budget every year when we're thinking about our budgets, a certain percentage of our money that just is going to go to
Right.
donations
Yeah.
and community support. We kind of like to do because we all grew up in sports. Minor hockey, minor soccer,
Yeah.
all the stuff, ringettes, and so we try to give a lot of organizations a little.
Sure.
If you're an organization, in Spruce Grove or Stony Plain, and you need a $500 donation, come in and ask for it. We'll give it to you.
Wow.
We're not
Yeah.
gonna it's just
Fantastic.
if it's a more ask, then we got to think
Sure,
about it. But
sure,
it's,
yes, absolutely.
But yeah, if, any team, anything, just we're there.
Yeah.
And then we try to, over the years, have evolved to donating the Parkland Food Bank. We always try to do food drives for them as well.
Yeah.
One year, Sherry, the director of the Parkland Food
Yeah.
Bank, contacted me. I don't know how, and we got talking, and their van was basically falling apart, and they needed a new van, and she wanted a quote on a new van, and it was kind of like, well, why don't we just give this to you?
Wow.
It's amazing.
Why would you pay
Yeah.
for it?
Yeah.
And that started the first donation to the Parkland Food Bank.
Yeah.
Bigger. And then that van is still running, and it comes in, and they don't pay for anything. I mean, if they
Wow.
need tires and brakes, it's
Yeah.
just, we just take care of it all the time. And then after that, the next year was kind of like, well, we gave a van last year. What do we give this year? Well, they need money to buy food.
Right.
And sometimes we don't have the time to give to them, like
Right.
volunteering.
Sure.
Although my wife, Tiffany, does actually volunteer at the Parkland Food Bank
okay.
a lot. Just, something she likes to put in her time. But sometimes, we don't have the time, but we have the earnings, and we can put some of our resources
Sure.
and capital towards it. So
Fabulous.
we've been donating, a large check every year to them for, I think this is, I don't know, I think 7th or 8th or
Yeah.
10th year maybe. And we're committed to just doing it
Man,
indefinitely.
that's fantastic.
It is.
We've had Sherry on the podcast, and
Yeah.
they do a remarkable work. They really
yes,
do.
really good
And
job.
it's
Yeah.
amazing that you guys support them the way you do. That's fantastic.
And we like that. I mean, I like, the Parkland Food Bank for me is a way to give back directly to somebody in the community.
Yes.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of people that are
Yeah.
hurting, and so we can't solve everybody's problems. But if I'm looking at trying to divert some of the resources of what we have to
Yeah.
somebody,
Yeah.
that's one thing that I feel like we can make a direct
Sure.
today impact on somebody
Yeah.
that's really going to help them. So that's why we've always been with the Parkland Food Bank.
Right.
And then we give, a lot of, we try to be, the associations.
Sure.
I believe in the chambers and the business
Yeah.
associations
Yeah.
myself. I used to be a director of the Chamber of Commerce for a
Right.
minute, and believe in that whole concept that you have to build the community.
Right.
And we talk about Spruce Grove and moving away, when you're younger, you're not really part of a community.
Yeah.
You're there, but you're living two blocks
Yeah.
from the beach or this and that. And then I moved back to Edmonton, and you're young, and so you live in an apartment here and there, and you're just trying to find where you're going to actually build a house and set up roots.
Yeah, where are you
right?
going to land?
And,
Yeah.
I look at Spruce and Stony Plain and Parkland County as at this incredible community that just really has a lot going for it. And so anything we can help is good. I will say on a side note, we have also set up a family foundation as well.
Okay.
Which has taken us a couple years to set that
Sure.
up. And again, that's another family discussion.
Yeah.
You talk about the My Shacks. I think they have a foundation, and that's
Yeah.
a whole other. Once
whole
it's set
other
up,
thing.
it's
Great way to give.
It
Yeah.
is,
generational
absolutely.
Yeah.
because it doesn't go away.
No,
and,
just keeps going. Yeah.
It's something that we want to build and just try to, we still have to sell cars and earn the money.
Yeah, sure.
But if we do a little bit,
makes
we
it a
wanna,
little
we
more
wanna help.
concrete.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
I was sorry to hear that you lost your brother.
Yeah.
That must
Yes.
have been a huge blow
Yeah, very much.
for the business and for your family.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It came out of the blue. He had, diagnosed with cancer, and we say sometimes when cancer takes, it just takes, and it wasn't anything to do with, the healthcare system here. That I think the doctors and the system we have through everything in the kitchen sink at him to try to save him, and it just it didn't. So it's
Must have been a huge blow to your family.
Yeah, it was a tough year.
Yeah.
The end of 23 and starting at 24 was very difficult.
And I'm sure a huge blow to the business.
Yeah, he was a big leader in the business.
Yeah.
And a big part of the business, and just had been for 2 decades.
Sure.
And so it was. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I will say that what it really showed was the resiliency of employees,
Right.
And the people around us.
Yeah.
I mean, just everybody just rallied,
And of
that
you
was-
too.
It was
you
amazing.
and your family as well.
Yeah, they really. We had so much
That's a
support.
hard thing to rebound from, and
Very,
and
yeah.
you never
Yeah.
really rebound. But
No.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's so you guys, I think, are doing an amazing job.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of soul searching, and we always just talk a lot about we just move forward.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do, and just keep on building that legacy. Because we don't want to make that legacy, with Shane.
No.
Just kind of go
Right.
away. We want
Sure.
to make sure that his work
Keep it
and his
on.
legacy is
Yeah.
just continued on.
Fantastic.
And he has 2 sons that are in high school, and and we want them to
Yeah.
grow up to see his legacy.
Fantastic.
And they're great kids.
Yeah.
Wow, time has flown.
It
Cam.
has. It's gone
we
by
are,
pretty
we are,
fast.
We're on
here.
to the final
Yeah,
question
this is the
already.
this is it. Yeah.
I know. So, Chad, share with us the best piece of advice you've been given, either personally or professionally, that you carry with you to this day.
I don't know. I got a lot of good advice. Maybe I'll go back to what something my dad told me. Way back when I was in college, and he just said, Chad, whatever you want to do in life, just focus on one thing, and just try to do it well.
Wow.
And
That's good advice.
It is good advice.
Yeah, it's
when
great
it
advice.
came time to, do I want to be in the car business? It's kind of like, do I want to be a car dealer or not?
Right.
And if you do, just get into it. And just learn how to sell cars, and learn how to, I can't fix cars, but all the other stuff, and just focus on it and just do it.
Fabulous.
And I think I've been my happiest when I've done that, and just a lot, not just doing one thing and just really focusing on it. So professionally and
Good
personally.
advice.
Yeah.
It is great advice. So, Chad, if somebody is looking to buy a new Ford vehicle, where can they go?
They can go to Zender Ford in Spruce Grove, and they can call us, they can text us, they can email us, they can do anything.
Well, what's what's
Zenderford.ca.com?
Zenderford.com.
Zenderford.com.
Okay.
www.
Yeah.
Take it from
Zenderford.com.
there.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll go from there.
www.zenderford.com.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Anytime.
It's gone by. Like, like this has flown. This
Yes.
is great. We could
Yes.
probably go for another hour. This is
Agree.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Deb.
so much.
Thank you,
Jennifer.
Chad.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time. And check out Zender Ford. Probably got some great 2025 sales
Coming
on.
in.
Oh yeah, everything's coming in.
Everything's coming in. So now's the time to buy. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Chad.
everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love their community involvement. Just a great guy. So that was a great episode.
It was.
Yeah, and I'm excited about next week's. Tell us, who's our guests next week?
Well, Cam, you know that I love honey.
Yes.
And we just happened to meet these two individuals that produce honey.
That's right. They're honey
They
producers.
are. So our guests next week, and actually, they used to both be in the media world.
That's right. One was, I think, a weatherman
on CTV.
on CTV, and
And I believe his wife was with CBC. Now, I'm not
Right.
sure what
I'm not sure she was on
No.
camera. Anyway, they were both involved
they
in
were,
media.
and then went to honey.
Yeah, they left that to go to honey.
So our guests next week are going to be Amber and Richard Osro
Yeah, from.
Good Morning Honey. And
Good Morning
Cam,
Honey.
That honey is delicious.
I'm really excited about next week.
I hope they bring us honey.
I hope they bring us honey.
I know.
And not only that, just to hear about how honey. Well, I know how honey's made, but how you mass manufacture honey.
That's right.
And what a story! You leave the media world to go into honey. How does that happen?
I know. So you have to tune in next week.
That's right.
To find out.
Pretty excited about that. Well, everybody, thank you again for listening to another episode of the ABA Coffee in the Park. Hey, don't forget to tell your friends. They can find us wherever you get your podcasts or at www.atchisonbusiness.com. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers, tell your enemies. If you don't have any friends, make one so you can tell them about the podcast. But hey, don't stop listening because we got some great stories coming up.
We sure do. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
See you
Have a
next
great week. Yep.